Are you ready to learn what red flags keep an eye out for when looking for love?
Then we got you covered. I'm Brianna.
And I'm Alex.
And this is the podcast where we unpack reality TV and call out the bullshit.
So that you show up confidently while dating and in relationships. Welcome to Ditch the Script.
I love it.
Hello.
Hey there.
Oh my God, I'm out of breath from holding my breath.
I know. So I want to let you in on a secret. I actually mute my mic when
I don't
we
have
do the
that
30
capability.
seconds. You don't? Wait, on Riverside, no?
Oh, I can hit it there. Should I hit it there? I'll hit it
That's
there.
what I've been doing for 30 seconds so that I feel comfortable. Yes, I feel safe.
I thought you meant like on your actual mic. I was like, I don't have that capability.
No, me neither. No, I do it on the computer. That way, because we have our dance, let's just include everyone else in on this conversation. We have our 30-second intro dance party for technical reasons, and we have like an intro song reason, and we try to not talk and try to not audibly breathe, which is very hard to do when you're having a dance party. But we were just shimmying the shit. I live for the shimmy.
Me
That's
too.
A move.
I don't know what it's about. It feels so freeing. It's that Shakira energy.
Oh, that's right. Know? But like in the shoulders instead of the hips. Get into the Shakira a little later.
I feel like she shakes it all. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what?
Her hips and her shoulders don't lie. Okay?
Don't lie. I love that. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? Yeah. Happy belated Thanksgiving.
Happy belated Thanksgiving. You know, I actually feel a lot better from our last podcast recording, because remember I was like, I'm lonely, sad face. Yeah. Oh, I'm cured.
She's cured. Never again will she face loneliness ever.
I feel a lot better. I'll tell you why.
Tell me why.
It's not because I'm any less lonely physically than I was a week ago. There's no one here. I'm not talking to anyone. I'm not I haven't made much more progress on my friend initiative. But what I did have was a very intentional check-in with myself that also led to a conversation with the universe that said, listen, I'm ready when you are, universe, for some new energy in my life. And what am I going to do to bring that in? So,
hells yeah.
When we're talking about loneliness, for me, this is in my box of my world. When I'm talking about loneliness,
we're here.
When I'm talking about loneliness, I'm thinking, what do I need to do to enter new spaces physically? Because I work from home. I do my podcast from home. I have a dog that often tethers me to my home, and I love being here too. So this is where I want to be usually, even when I'm not working from inside of it all the time. Right?
Yeah. I'm the same way. I'm like, home. Home is great. Let's be home.
Home is great. I don't even, I used to think about the idea of working from home as oh my God, I'll hate that. I'll get so stir crazy. Bitch, I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. However, it does not help me on the initiative to make friends in a new area that I am new to, or date new people in a new area. And I'll be honest, this is not a hot take, but these dating apps, dry.
They are. Yeah, they are. I feel like dating apps are on the outswing, because it's I feel like when they first came out, there was a peak, everyone was on them and everyone was excited about it. A lot of relationships came from it. And then all of a sudden it's now this stigma where a lot of people hate dating apps because they've had poor experiences. They've gotten into toxic relationships from it or whatever, or it's a challenge, or it feels ingenuine, fill in the blank. And so now it's almost no man's land on the apps, I feel. Not I'm on them. I can't speak from personal experience because I haven't been on them in years, but from what I'm hearing and experiencing with clients, that's what I'm hearing.
Listen, you're tapped in enough to know a bit about what the user experience
What's going
is
on.
Right. From me, is I'm doing it enough for the both of us. And obviously in the work that you do, you're connecting with people who are also actively trying to like connect with others online. Yeah. And I'll be honest, like I have had way more success meeting people in my area when I am out, but I am typically only out when I have people coming to visit me, because I am not prepared to reach a stage of my life where I say to my mom, come on, mom, let's go to the bar. I don't feel good about that. So
be my wing woman, mom. Help me meet boys. Pick out your future son-in-law.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Jesus.
Not, it's like not the worst idea in the world, but like also not my favorite. So,
I'm imagining that scene.
she and I have talked about it, where she was like, I would love to like go out with you. She goes, but I know that probably would be more harmful than helpful. And I was like, I'm really glad that we feel the same way.
I love how she said that. She was like, yeah, I'm a mom and I would love this, but I can also see this from your point of view. Like,
yeah. And I'm like, mom, I would so much rather be out in the world with you in like sort of a ladies who lunch kind of way.
Yes.
Let's do that. Let's put like a sun hat on and like get out and like, order like an expensive
brunch,
drink.
bitch. Yeah. Let's do that.
But like leave the bar scouring for me. But the reason I bring this up is because online has been very dry. And if I go too far into detail, I'm going to start to sound really judgmental, and it's just not my best self. Okay, so I'm not even going to go there. But it's not a zone that's working right now. And so I'm like, I don't want to just sit here and wallow and be like, why me? So I want to get out in the world in a way that feels safe, but also makes me feel in touch with myself and in control of like how I'm engaging with the world, and specifically other eligible like single people. So yeah.
So exciting. I love that. Congratulations.
I feel better. It's definitely like even just the idea of it and making some slight changes have energized me a little bit and put me back on like the initiative bandwagon. I'm like, I'm holding the banner of saying we're in the season of get outside. So I feel good about it.
Love it. Good. Mm-hmm. I'm glad. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Cool. I don't really have anything exciting to add other than I've just been over here doing my damnedest and chilling and playing video games and watching a lot of Harry Potter and resting and talking to a lot of people in the DMs. That's about it.
Yeah. You said earlier that you've been like surrounding yourself with like your simple comforts. And I thought that was like really important, because I think that that's something that has actually more of an impact on like how we're feeling and what we need when we need it than maybe we give ourselves credit for. It's like even putting on a movie or a television show that's going to like make you feel a little warm and fuzzy is like, if that's what you have access to in a moment, do that.
Yeah. And tea. I love this time of year because I really get into drinking tea and it feels so good and it's so comforting. But the summer months here are so hot that it's like, fuck that. I can't even no boiled water, no hot food, like cold everything.
Yeah.
But now that it's getting chilly, it's like I'll open the slider door for like that cold, crisp air to come in. And then I bundle up with a couple blankets and my little pup jacks. And I have my tea in my bougie thermos mug that's so sexy and sleek looking. And I just like, it feels nice. Yeah.
Isn't it incredible that something like a canister for your liquids can be sexy?
Yeah. Yeah.
I got this as a gift from Becca Jo. This is her second shout out.
Shout out to Becca Jo.
Even though
I feel like there's been many Becca Jo. I don't think it's the second. She's basically like, I don't know, honorary ditch the script
DTS.
Host.
Yeah,
she's here.
She's spiritually with us at all times. But like when I received this water bottle, I was like, oh, the game has changed.
Done. So did you retire your other comfort water bottle that you brought to Vegas? Because I remember that we made sure that thing was with us at all times. So has this been replaced? Are they exchangeable?
No. So what I do when I get infatuated with a new water bottle, I take the old one, I deep clean it, and I store it away. So that water bottle actually happens to be in use for my like gym rotations, because
love it.
It's like, it's got a lid on it. The straw is kept sanitary from others out,
Right.
also being exercising
In the area.
in the zone. Like it's contained of its possible contamination in a COVID
Love it.
world. But what I do is I usually clean them and I put them away so that when other people are here, if they don't have an emotional support water bottle, they have a clean and sanitary one to bring around for them in this very hot South Florida weather.
I love it. I love it. Look at you, looking out for other people's hydration needs.
Yeah, listen, sometimes like you want to be in people pleasing recovery, but like keep some of the instincts.
Look, it's people pleasing for the people pleasing is only dangerous when it's coming from a place of like, I need to do this so that I feel okay. But when you're like, hey, I want to do something nice for you just for the sake of doing something nice, fucking slay.
Slay.
Go at it. Slay all day.
Actually,
All right.
it's a good way to like keep a little balance of like, do I have to turn off of that like instinct for everyone because I'm no longer trying to be a people pleaser? Like, no, just ask yourself, like, am I doing this? Where's it coming from? Am I doing this for them so that it then in turn benefits me because it keeps me safe with them, it keeps me in line with them, or am I doing this because it just feels good and I like it?
Yeah.
And I like having clean water bottles for guests.
Fuck yeah, you do, bitch. Done.
Okay.
Well, this such a good one though. So now we're gonna go back to Paradise for the last time this season, and boy, oh fucking boy, I can't wait. Jesus, they really saved the tea. I mean, I don't know. I was going to say they saved the tea for these last 2 weeks, but let me tell you, this Bachelor in Paradise season was wild. I forgot about Romeo till the reunion, and I was like, oh, shit. That happened too.
Yeah. Honestly, what an honor and a privilege has it been to cover all of this, because a lot of it is absolute mayhem, chaos, and it's hard to discern what of it is real, what of it is heavily edited,
produced.
Yeah, but like, what an absolute privilege that we created for ourselves to what an opportunity that we made to
make it happen,
to follow this. Yeah. I will say that like these last two episodes that we're covering, it was so. What a win for like the good couples. It was such good television to consume for the strong couples, which I will say are Brandon and Serene and Danielle and Michael. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like for those couples, it was actually so I found myself enjoying watching them more than I have consuming any of this other reality like drama and garbage. You know?
Yeah, which goes to show that maybe there is a place for conscious relationship conversations
on television.
Yeah.
I
thought it was great. I was like, oh my God, this is like so fun to watch and like hear and experience. Yeah.
Yes, it made me feel like the last time that we were really commenting on Brendan and Serene outside of giving them a green flag around like their first date and like how like whatever it was that they were doing to allow each other into each other's lives in those early stages of dating where you're not really sure if you're supposed to keep a guard up anymore. And then after that, I was like, I don't know, like, are they really like the couple that we think that they are? Or are they just gorgeous together and like nap a lot? And what I'm realizing as we get to see them at the end of this experience is I wish that I got to see so much more of them together.
Me too. Yeah. Because it truly is like, seeing them on the reunion was so cute. Like, it was so cute. And I loved, and actually, I'm not even going to go into that because we'll go into it when we cover the show, but their reasoning for the decision they made, you know, on the altar of paradise, if you will. And so we'll dig into that later. But I think they're good human beings with good heads on their shoulders. And together they have nothing but a life filled with happiness and wonderful, you know, ness laid ahead of them. If they keep up what they're doing right now, you know, like, of course they're going to fight. Of course they're going to annoy each other. That's like just humans being humans. Right. But the foundation of their relationship seems to be really strong and honest and genuine.
And beautiful.
I know.
It's
oh my
beautiful.
God. I want a guy to cry when he sees me come out for our date. I want him to be like, fuck, that's my girlfriend. Look at how cute. Actually, that has happened once and it does feel really good. It's like, it feels so good.
It's beautiful. And I really think that watching that reinforced like something that I have practiced like affirming for myself in the past.
Yeah.
But it was a good reminder of is like especially the stage of my life where I'm at right now, which is like, I feel really good about who I am. I'm not a perfect person. I'm still a trying person. And I will only continue to like try to work on the things that, accept the things that make me human, but also work on the things that are like not my best, highlight.
Always. Yeah.
Always. However, I know how to make myself feel really good, and I feel really informed about my worth and like what I bring into the world and what I bring into other people's lives that I'm in relationships with. And what I recognize from that moment is like, that is absolutely beautiful. If I know how to make myself feel so good, if I'm not with another person that tries to make me feel as good as I can make myself feel, baby, it's not love.
No, you ain't it. Yeah. And I love that you brought that up because I think that's the missing piece that a lot of people, don't understand. And if I'm being honest, I used to not understand it. Like so many times people would be like, you need like, you can only, this whole like cliche saying of like, you can only love someone at the extent that you love yourself. But it's so true in the sense that like, if I can't meet my own needs, how can I expect someone else to meet my needs? If I don't hold space for my own emotions, how can I expect someone else to hold space for my own emotions? If I don't know how to make myself feel good about myself, how can I expect anyone else to contribute to that? And so it really is this work and labor of self-love, if you will, where when you do develop that within yourself, it becomes so clear when you're dating, like, do you meet my level of like, oh, I make myself feel good and you match that or add to it? Or is there something in the dynamic where you're making me feel more insecure, more critical of myself, more on edge, more judged? Then if so, that's not the person for me. Right. And without that clarity of like relationship with yourself, dating becomes external validation constantly. I need to prove my worth to you. I need to make you want me back. I need to make you like me. I need to make you see my value. And it's like, nah, you don't.
That's
it for this week of Ditch the Script.
That's it.
Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Go to our website. I know. And that's the conditioning that I've been working really hard to break, which is if you just hang out with me one more time in this setting with these people, when the weather looks like this and we get
when
to do
I'm
this
in
kind
this
of activity.
outfit,
Yes.
in this makeup, with
exactly.
these panties.
And then you will choose to love me. Like, then you'll see how valuable I am. But switching over into this, like, no. Like, I already know that I'm valuable in all of these spaces, whether I have makeup on, no makeup on, the outfit right, not right. Like, it's raining, humidity is taking control over my hair. Like, it's okay. But if you don't see my worth just in my truest form of myself, which is my responsibility to feel close to and participate in, but if you don't see that value and you don't make any sort of effort to like be a part of that, and there's not an exchange vice versa on that, then it's not a connection that I'm working to fight for. So in that, it has made it much more easy to say no to a lot of other things where I used to sort of ponder and say, but maybe it could be better, or maybe it would be this, and maybe I'm missing out on this opportunity with this person that I met at a bar for an hour, and maybe that would be a really good relationship. If that person doesn't see me as a potential mate, what am I chasing? For real. That's been a game changer for sure.
Huge game changer. Yeah. And I feel like it's this concept that a lot of people are intimidated by because it feels like it's such a far off destination to arrive at being able to do that for yourself. But I promise you, it doesn't need to be with the right tools and support and like mindset and like the right community. Like, just pay attention to what you're consuming all the time. Because that was something else. Like those days where I felt like that, I was consuming more reality shows that had me in comparison of like, oh, she's prettier than me. I would never I used to watch Love Island and think that. Like if I was there, Jesus, I'd be the ugliest one in that villa. And it's like, whoa, why do I believe that about myself? Right? You know? And so it's like, just pay attention to what you're consuming. And as you're consuming these things, what thoughts are you, what stories are you telling yourself? Start there. And then if it's not something that's healthy or uplifting for yourself, cut it out for now. Cut it out for now, you know? Because I can also testify, I can watch Love Island now and not think that. I'd be like, oh my God.
I was just
I'm not scared about
that.
me being the ugliest person in the villa. I'm way more scared about me being able to regulate and be level-headed in an environment like that.
Yeah, I was just going to say that because it's like such a good example, because one, I'm glad that you mentioned how it used to make you feel, because I think a lot of people relate to that. I have definitely related to that. I've had those thoughts. I've had to like sit with those thoughts and be like, that's interesting. Why do I feel like I'd be the fat one there? You know, and like, yeah, literally I probably would be, but like, why does this make me feel this way? Right. And what we are showing a lived experience example of is that you can choose to do some of that internal work for yourself and then actually still engage in these shows and have a relationship with these shows in a less harmful way to ourselves. Because we do this whole podcast and we talk about these shows, and never once are we inserting ourselves being like, would this person find me attractive?
Right.
As we've been talking about it. We've been like,
No.
yeah, how the hell would I deal with this conflict? Which is a very different way, a very different lens.
Oh my God, so different. Yeah. And I also look at it now with like, who would I pick? Instead of who would pick me, it's like, who would I pick? Who would I be attracted to? Which, again, like, that used to not be my way of dating. It was always like, will this person like me? What do I need to wear to be hot? What do I need to wear to capture their... And it's like, I don't even know their middle name yet, and I'm more focused on convincing them to like me and choose me than if I give a damn about seeing them on a second date. Yeah, it's all growth. It's all growth. But just know that, like, you know, if you're listening to this and you're like, Jesus, I feel like they're inside of my head, it's because we were there at one point too, and we've both grown and loved ourselves through that, and you can too. You can too. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
the beach.
oh my God, I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm freaking out.
Yeah.
Okay. Where do
we have to
start?
we have to start with the rose ceremonies and sort of like, obviously people start falling away from the beach. So let's just run through where the last day on Paradise leaves the couple. So we know we'll leave Brandon and Serene stay on.
Locked down.
We know that Victoria and Johnny accept roses from each other. They stay on. We'll talk more about them in a minute. Brittany and Tyler don't get engaged, but they leave boyfriend and girlfriend from the beach.
Congratulations.
For however long that lasted. Joey and Shanae split, and which was interesting because Joey was really hoping to like continue things.
I thought Joey was so much more mature than Shanae, and I wanted to like insert myself in that conversation so much. We'll talk about it later, but like, oh my God.
Wait, what did you want to say? Because let's have the Joey and Shanae conversation, because Lord knows we're going to get onto other shit. We're never going to come back to them. You know it. I know it.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the deal. Like, Shanae and Joey go for a talk to like, you know, figure out what they're gonna do, and Shanae immediately starts crying and like won't maintain eye contact, and Joey's like, hey, like, what's going on? You know, like kind of blindsided, and you know, Shanae starts to say some pretty like, I understand what she was trying to say, but she said it in a really shitty way. She's like, I'm looking for a man, you know, the age gap, blah, blah, blah. And Joey was like, whoa, I'm still a man, even though I'm 10 years younger than you, or however younger than, you know, him she is. And, and it just, my thing is that, and this is what fascinates me, because if Joey was older, like, if you're gonna, let me find my words. If you are going to date someone and you're more focused on the year they were born than who they are and how they've treated you, you could really be doing some damage to yourself. Because from what I've seen with Joey, especially in this last conversation, was that he's a viable partner. Being able to hold that ground, handle the emotions without being judgmental, yet still standing up for himself in a kind and not like overly aggressive way. He's like, I'm still a man. Like, okay, I'm a man. I'm still a man. You keep saying that. I'm a man. Like, you know, he wasn't mean about it. He just was like, chill.
Yeah.
If she could find someone who's 30 years old, who is her age, who is way less emotionally mature, and yet choose him simply because of the year he was born in, instead of the type of emotional maturity or candor he has within a relationship. And so I really feel Shanae made a mistake. And I think that if she enjoyed her time with Joey and she, you know, wants to get to know him just as a partner, great. I understand it's concerning he doesn't live on his own and he still lives with his parents. But instead of it being a judgment of, well, you still live with your parents, ask, what's your timeline for moving out? What are you doing right now with your goals? And then she kept bringing up the TikTok thing. She was like, I don't want a guy. And he was like, none of these conversations have been brought up before. I'm a little confused at where this is all coming from. You haven't shared this with me, right? And so it's all of these judgments that now we can see Shanae has been biting her tongue, but this doesn't come out of nowhere. She's been thinking this whole time, but too emotionally immature to have the conversation with him. So she just bolts out of her own judgment. And again, I feel like that was a shitty decision because compared to other men who have been on that beach, Joey and Justin have handled themselves pretty okay.
Pretty well, better than how I thought that they would.
Me too.
I'm not coming for Shanae for not seeing Joey as her partner. I understand the seeds of doubt that get planted, especially as you're about to transition off of Paradise and you're thinking about what would it be like to bring this person home? How do I explain this? Some of the more like surface level concerns, you know, that have nothing to do with how you've been connecting with someone. But I get that fear. I get that fear of like, oh my God, how is this going to look? I really need someone who it looks and feels like this. They have this type of age. They look like they have this kind of job. They're looking for these types of things in their life. And so I understand why she like got cold feet and like freaked out.
Agreed.
But I fully am with you in that the way that she handled that conversation, it was like she was trying to take him down as a means to justify why this wasn't going to work for her when
instead
none
of
of those
owning her own.
Yeah. Like
ahead.
Own your own stuff and be like, listen, I like
don't see
this has
it.
been a lot of fun, but I don't see it. And I wish that I did because I actually think that you've been incredibly lovely and a pleasure to get to know. And even you can even be honest and be like, you know what, maybe it's just my own weird biases about age. And I could be totally wrong about that. But right now it's getting the best of me. So I feel like I need to go home alone. That would have been beautiful.
Yeah. And I think that's what Joey was kind of, and I kind of applaud him for this. I think he was very aware of that. Like she was just looking for excuses to not, instead of just being like, Shanae, don't see this working out because of my own shit. But she was just grasping at straws for excuses on why it wouldn't and shouldn't work out. And I think that's why Joey was like kind of sitting in that stasis of like his boundary of like, you're not going to insult me by calling me, essentially implying I'm a child and a TikTok snob, right? Like you're not going to insult me. And I still want to understand because this has not been brought up at all. And so, you know, it's really interesting to me that, you know, Shanae went all that time, like enjoying him, making out with him, and yet couldn't bring herself to be honest with him about what she was truly feeling and thinking, because the reality is that is a Shanae issue. That's not a Joey issue. And Shanae, despite her age, is going to continue to bring that uncomfortability of not speaking up for herself and having true vulnerable conversations into every relationship until she figures that out for herself. You know what I mean? So it's like, girl, she has the ability to have a wonderful partnership. She just is, again, this self-sabotaging behavior of like, I can't be vulnerable. I can't be honest about what I'm feeling. It needs to be an issue with someone else.
Yeah.
It's going to haunt
her. And then it was
her.
interesting that she got sad about coming home without someone, because this hit a particular nerve for me, because she was like, I really wanted to come home with someone and like show everyone like, this is who chose me. And it was her preference to be validated by having a boyfriend or a partner was so loud in that moment.
Yeah.
And it hurt me, not in a specific just towards Shanae thing, because I know that Shanae is just a product of living in the same fishbowl that we all live in, which is feeling validated by particularly being chosen by a man, being partnered with a man, being validated by having a man to show around in your world, in your circle, and whatever, makes you feel like, oh, I am a valuable person. I am desirable. People desire me. And we have to recognize that that narrative is at play so that we can listen to ourselves say it out loud and realize how dumb it sounds. It's fucking dumb.
For real. I know, it's conditioning. It's literally like, it starts with like, who's bringing you to the prom? Who are you going to the prom with? Who are you going to homecoming with? It starts there. It's like, fucking no one. I'm taking myself, bitch. Like, you know, I'm my date to the prom. I'm my best lover. I'm my best friend. You know what I mean? Like, let's channel that energy. Hi, mosquito.
Hey.
And yeah, it is. It's like, it's something that I really feel for women, like not just Shanae, because it's like, I'm going to go on this show and the fear of like, what if it doesn't work out? It's way less about what doesn't it work out? What if this doesn't work out? And way more, what are people going to think of me if it doesn't work out? You know? Yeah. And that's the wound she's sitting with right now, because baby, you did that to yourself. Joey was willing to go home with you, but those prejudices kept you from truly establishing something that could be wonderful.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So anyway, Shanae,
we wish you the best.
I think that she's not in a terrible place to get to where she wants to be, because I loved getting to watch different sides of her. Some of them were like, there's some more emotional maturity that could happen, that could grow from here. But otherwise, like, it was nice to see her be a friend to others. It was nice to see her.
Yeah, I loved her seeing getting along with Jen after the bitch fight they got into.
Yeah. That was nice. Even just the ways that she supported some of the other women and some of the other women that were dating other guys that she was dating previously.
Yeah,
like I liked getting to know her a bit more, and like I believe that she can get to where she wants to be in whatever kind of relationship she wants, as long as she's like hopefully taking an objective look at some of the things that maybe stood in her way, like we all need.
Yeah, 100%.
That's my TED
Wish
talk.
you well, Shanae.
It was so interesting to then see Flo and Justin break up so amicably. They like sit down on the bed, and maybe they were there longer in real time, but like it seemed like they were there no longer than 5 seconds to be able to be like, hey, so this isn't going to work out. I really, wish you the best. And they both were like, deuces. That was beautiful. Okay. Logan and Kate. Now, this happens before the last day. So at the rose ceremony, Kate denies Logan of the rose that he offers her, which is so interesting how she does this, because what she does, she takes this moment. Yeah. She takes this moment to say to him that all of the criticism that she received from Logan was a projective expression of things that were actually going on with him, which is not the case at all, actually.
No.
Incredibly wrong. If anything, what she states at this rose ceremony is a projective statement of her own experiences.
Literally what I have. I can't.
Right?
I put Kate, you narky too, is what I put. I was like, finally, like, because I've been thinking it this whole time, but I'm one of those people where like I really want to see like a pattern of behavior before I start to like throw things out there. And this was just like nail on the head, where I am like, okay, here we go. You narky too. You and Aaron, you have some narcissistic tendencies. Yeah, 100%. It was a projection. Not once have we seen Logan cut Kate down. We've seen him express what he needs from her. Like, hey, I feel like, you know, you're hard on me and you judge, you know, you cut me down, or you're picky or critical about things. And, you know, he was true. And we've all watched that quite literally on this show happen. And so my note here is I'm really pissed about this, because what was extra icky about it was she was all smiles and doughy eyes the entire, did you notice that? Like, she's up there, the Logan's there, and she's like, you know, and then if you're not watching our YouTube channel, you just missed my demonstration. And
it was good.
Thanks, bitch. Lots of practice.
Yeah.
This like manipulative, like, yeah. And so he ends up like giving her the rose, and immediately she's like, I'm not going to take this rose because everything that you've stated about me, you actually did to me, which I was like, girl, what? Yeah, it just felt really icky. And then Kate leaves. Everyone's shocked. Logan's like, what? And the only thing, I was like sitting on the edge of my seat, Brie, because what I was waiting for was one of the other Paradise people to be like, bro, that was that's not true, dude. We've all watched it, and don't let her get to you. That's some bullshit. I was waiting for that. We never saw that. I'm hoping someone said that in his ear when they were saying goodbye. Because that's the truth. Like,
And well,
seriously.
and you know what? He's at least had the opportunity to see what we so clearly saw
Yeah.
when the show played out. So I think what we should do is cut to the reunion for them for a moment so that we can close their loop, because I think how Logan addresses what was shown, I thought he handled it as best as he could. I thought he handled it pretty succinctly, because the biggest thing that gets brought up at the reunion with the two of them is like, it's the way in which Kate was talking down about Logan, something that we've been talking about on this podcast as it was playing out, talking down on Logan, his status, his job, his money, him being a child, but then on air being like, when she's at least consensually in front of him, or in cahoots with the producers, being like, I just need someone who's more ready. I need someone who's older. I need a man, blah, 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 blah. And it was, Logan, first of all, points out, like, okay, so you didn't mean to have this said to my face, but you were also mic'd up at all times on this show. So where did you think this information was going to go? And he basically just called her on her bullshit to be like,
I loved it. I was like, go off, Logan. Yeah.
Yes, and then he adds in his little like story about working on his own for a year, which I sort of felt was like, okay, okay. Okay, but you know what? That's just me. I'm like, okay, gotcha. But he was just like, listen, I've worked hard to be where I'm at, and I'm proud of where I am. And like, you making comments about where I'm at for my job and my car, like, you can miss me with all of that. And I thought that was kind of badass.
Yeah, agreed. I really didn't like how, Kate tried to like position the whole thing like, well, we both liked each other and we both desired each other, and like, those words you were never meant to hear. And like, okay, I get it. Like, we've all been in a place where we've been really mad at someone and have gone to the juvenile, like, let me just talk some major shit to make myself feel better. I've done it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and act like I haven't done it.
Not above it.
But the difference here is that, like, one, yes, she is on a TV show. And two, the judgment into which she was trying to like pigeonhole the entirety of who Logan is because of the lack of money, because of the dog walking, and those are two very different things that I didn't agree with. And then I love Logan's story. I drove that Honda to California with X amount of dollars to my name and have been busting my ass to like, and I think that does deserve applause, because the thing is that a lot of people have money because they have money, and then what? They don't know how to build wealth. They don't know, you know what I mean? So there is value there. And I'm not cutting down anyone who is wealthy by being born into it. That's great. Like, but I'm just saying we need to see and honor the tenacity in which the tenacity of somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a good example of
I felt that there was
judging...
value there.
Yeah. I think it's an example of judging someone of like a snapshot of where they're at. Like, Kate meets Logan at a place where he still has the car that he drove to California with, and she meets him at a place where he's come on to Bachelor Nation, and this was what he was doing for work before he got here, and he became more of a public figure. And it's like you had zero curiosity about why he drove that car, why he does the work that he does. There's no curiosity about it, which tells us everything that we already knew about her, which is that she wasn't actually interested in Logan. She was attracted to Logan. And I think that dating someone like Logan was really good for the narrative on the show, and her experience and whatever her agenda may have been when she arrived on the scene. I love that he, at the reunion, was basically just like, I wish you had told me your concerns about me not, quote, being man sooner. It would have really clarified a lot, and it would have opened my options up a lot.
I laughed so hard. Yeah, I was like, good for you, dude. And then, you know what else? I want to call this out because I don't know about you, but I could tell Logan was like nervous. He was like, at first when he was starting. But he held his own. And I loved that even more because I was like, bro, I would be the same way.
I'd be worse. National television.
I would be like, I can confirm that. Like, it's a scary thing to have to confront someone and stand up for yourself on national television in a room filled with people who know this much of the story. And, you know, with someone who he really liked her. He really liked her. Now, here's where I will applaud Logan. He goes on to further say that he lost himself in chasing Kate and that he sees how Shanae liked him for him. And that, you know, he didn't value that. He didn't see that in that moment. And so without saying it, he kind of admits, like, I have some codependent, people-pleasing type things going on within me. And that's huge. The fact that he could look at that experience and be like, wow, I see in hindsight very clearly now. And this is where a lot of people use these hindsight moments to be like, I'm never making that mistake again. Like, I'm going to make this inner vow to be cognizant of who I'm dating and what's in front of me and really pay attention to how I'm being treated. Or because of that wound, they then projectile themselves into another relationship without any of the hindsight reflecting. And I really feel that Logan is going to build himself up from where he's been after VIP. I don't know why. It's just this gut feeling. I feel like he's going to do really well. So
I'm with you. I feel the same way.
Go Logan. Yeah.
Go Logan. Yeah. We love him.
Go Logan. In that orange Honda, bitch. Yes.
That's right.
Go off.
I feel like
you can
he's
come
one
walk
of
my
those...
dog.
I feel like he's one of those people, and maybe more people are rooting for him, especially after BIP. But he's one of those people that you and I, while I know that you didn't fully watch all of Rachel and Gabby's season, he's one of those people that was like polarizing and was positioned to the Bachelor Nation audience as like a person to be critical of. And he's someone who you and I have felt like, no, I feel like he was a human being and actually handled the situation with as much respect and tenacity as possible. And I still feel that way about him. And I'm glad that we stuck to our guns about that because, of course, was he like kind of a distractible, like lover boy type of character on the show? Yes. Yeah. But with that also came like all of these really genuine, lovable, goofy, playful moments of his when he was just being himself on the beach.
I loved his little scuba date idea for Shanae. I thought that was so cute. I would have been like, can you teach me how to snorkel? Because I'm still having low-key PTSD from that one moment. Like, let's do it together. And then we'll have a hot, steamy makeout session in the pool.
In a hot tub, or I'm sure a bachelor-supported hot tub.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, because there's always one of those on every day somehow. Yeah. Get naked. All right. Who's next?
Okay. So, I guess we got to go in line with the show's flow. We got to go Aaron and Genevieve.
Of course. I want to bring up one thing really quick. That's kind of early on and really subtle, but it's something that I wrote a little paragraph on.
What is it?
So here's the deal. Right, like we go into the cocktail part. Well, we go into what we think is going to be the cocktail party, and Jesse's like, "No cocktail party. We're going straight into rose ceremony. So hopefully you've done your due diligence up until this point to figure out your shit." And so they go to separate guys from girls, and Genevieve is shown kind of freaking out because she's like, Aaron just walked right in front of me and walked away without looking back or reassuring me, and that's making me, he's being weird, and oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Yeah. Here's the thing. I want to be honest. I want to be honest, and I want to say I want to share this because this is a tactic, and simultaneously I don't want anyone to become uber paranoid because that doesn't serve us either, right? So what I like to say to my clients is instead of being into paranoia of like, oh my god, I need to look for all the red flags, I want you to sit in this really receptive place of like, I'm witnessing, I'm observing. It's like you're your own Sherlock Holmes, right? Like when you are first dating people, you're gathering information. You're just gathering information. You're paying attention to clues. All right. Yes. Bree is doing a great job of demonstrating the lookout. This has happened to me both with my narcissistic ex, with other women, particularly, and it's happened to me with my narcissistic parent. They will walk in front of you purposefully in this romantic dynamic. It was this guy and another girl who was just a friend in front of me while I was like 10 feet behind them, like trying to keep up. And I'm a tall woman. So if I'm like busting my ass to keep up with you, you're walking fast.
Listen, for those of you who have not had the privilege of meeting Alex in person, this bitch has got legs for days. She can bust a move. In more ways than one.
You.
Yeah.
Thank you. But like, so, and what it does is they position you, it's a form of triangulation. It's a really subtle form of triangulation because what they're trying to do is ignite insecurities, ignite fears within you without saying anything, because then they can easily be like, you're insecure. I didn't mean anything by that. And look at you over here, overanalyze and make yourself into a nutcase. When it's like any normal human being, and especially in this Bachelor in Paradise scenario, is going to walk away. Like, do you think Brandon just walked away and ignored Serene? No. He's like, all right, baby, I'll see you in a couple minutes when we're ready to film that rose ceremony. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there is some consideration for the other person. And so when this happened, I wanted to make a note of it and bring it up in this podcast, because although it's very subtle, and although I don't want anyone to freak out about like, oh my God, this guy I'm seeing walked in front of me, you know, I do want people to not be naive in thinking that something as subtle as, let me position myself in front of you, especially in scenarios where there's other people involved, or it's a form of punishment in some ways. Like, that's how it showed up with my narcissistic parent. It's like, I'm upset with you, so I'm going to isolate myself away from you.
Distance myself.
Right. So I wanted to share that with the added warning of like, take this, absorb the information, witness it, but don't also, you know, fall into the fear of feeling paranoid about every little thing that you see.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's it.
I love that observational lens because it allows room for a lot of possibilities to be true.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Right. Because especially even in the point of this podcast, to share information and to share things that we've learned in our own experiences and what we're seeing on television, it's not so that you can become totally aware of the intention and meaning behind every verbal and nonverbal action, you know, or communication. It's to learn that there's lots of different kinds of possibilities and to be aware of how stuff makes you feel. And so if you are able to take sort of a curious and objective approach to taking an interest in what's going on, you allow yourself to gather more information, assess how it makes you feel without quick reactive responses that lead to quick judgments that can really cloud the other elements that are part of the overall equation. So like, wow, that's really interesting that he didn't walk away from me. I'm curious what might happen next. I'm registering that it's not making me feel good. I feel kind of left out. Maybe we'll have an opportunity where I can tell him that it made me feel left out. Maybe a person who cares about my feelings will notice and say, oh my gosh, I didn't mean to do that at all. Like I was just, I got in my head. Right.
Whereas instead when I would speak up for it, it was, you're so insecure. She's just my friend. How dare you think that? Like, anger. I was just met with anger and projection and gaslighting, all the fun things that is a mixed bag. Yeah, but that's and again, it's patterns of behavior. If it happens once and you call them out and they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Which, by the way, like, let's just draw a parallel. This happened with us when we were in Vegas with Jordan. And I was in front, or you guys were in, I can't remember. Like I was looking at a map. Yeah. And I even told you this happened, and I pulled Jordan for a chat and I was like, look, babe, like, I know this isn't you and I know that you're not doing this, but it's making me feel icky because of, you know, other shit that was going on in our lives together. And he immediately made an effort to be like, let me let me fix that. Right. That's fucking huge. And so I just want to like draw the contrast between like someone who is a partner that actually gives a shit about how they could like impact other people versus someone who is narcissistic and wants to incite the insecurity in you because it gives them a position to control and manipulate even further. So, the end.
Yes. Such a clear difference. So, Aaron and Genevieve, they accept their rose from one another. which
Stupid.
was, yeah, it was what it was. I have no notes on it. It just was what it was. The next day, they sit down. Aaron pulls Genevieve for a chat. Genevieve is obviously like, she's in it like a quiet, do you have language to describe like what state she's kind of in that feels familiar to you as like a person who's been in relationship with someone who is narcissistic and unpredictable in these ways?
In this moment, she was like straddling fawn and freeze, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. That's sort of what I was noticing, is that she was like, and it's also compared with like a level of exhaustion from this cycle that she's
That's
caught
what they
in,
do.
right?
That's what they do. And this, again, like, that's a great word to use. And I say that all the time, like, being in an unhealthy relationship is a full-time job. Like, it feels exhausting. And this is exactly why. They run you around the mill of analyzing and feeling insecure and then feeling okay so much that you're emotionally lost in the sauce of, like, you don't know which way is up. You're just seeking stability. And because you're in a relationship, that stability to you means as long as we're okay. But the narcissistic partner doesn't give that to you, and if they do, it's not for very long. So it's like, I feel for her because she is exhausted. There's a part of her that's like, because of the exhaustion, she's wanting to just be catatonic. Like, I can sense that in her face a little bit, where she's just like, yeah, where you can see it all over her. She even admits, she's like, I'm gonna need so much therapy after this, which I put all caps, yes, girl, love that, because it's true.
And also, yeah,
and then
please.
Yeah, and then the fawning side of her that's like, I just want things to be okay. I just want things to be okay. I just want things to be okay. So she has this like dual energy that both are survival responses and both are kind of ping-ponging back and forth really quickly as she sits down to have this conversation with Aaron. Oh God, it's so bad.
Aaron sets this whole thing up where it's very like sales pitchy. He's put on a totally different version of himself to basically announce the breakup, right?
Yeah.
Which is, we have had, in not so many words, I guess more words than what I'm about to say, is we've had a really great time, though I know we've had our challenges. Ha ha ha.
Yeah,
ha,
he's being a politician.
He's literally being a politician about it. It's super freaky to watch him switch into it.
Yeah.
It felt really disingenuous. And that's the thing that I would say to look out for, because I'll give it to people that sometimes people are just nervous and they switch into a more operational mode when they're having a difficult conversation. And I get that.
I've done that. And I want to say that that's something that I will do, because it's like, I'm trying so hard to be like clear and concise that I get this like, okay, when this happened, like, that's how I have to, like, that's me trying to stay calm when I'm having intense conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can testify to like operational lens.
And me too. I do the same thing. I actually saw like a tweet earlier today that was like something about women, when they're announcing to men that they're done with them, all of a sudden speak like they work for HR. They're like, and I'd like for you to no longer contact me. You have 3 to 5 business days to let me know what your thoughts are about this.
To get your shit out of my apartment.
Yeah. Literally. Okay.
Anyway.
So like, I get that, but I think that my point here is like, pay attention to how you feel. If your gut is telling you this feels disingenuous, it probably is. He was like, there's no other better way to describe it other than being a politician about it. And he was just like, it's been great. We've had our troubles, but wow, what a fun time I've had. And which just doesn't match any of the tears and the emotional posturing that he did up until this. He wouldn't let her leave twice because of like the good thing that they have and the way that he makes her feel and the way that she makes him feel, and isn't this worth fighting for? And he gets to the end of it and he's like,
and then he's
I feel like I'm done with this.
Yeah, he's like, if this is as easy as it's gonna get, like, these should be easy days, which, I wanted to come through the TV. And I honestly, Genevieve, fuck, girl, I love you. Like, the way she handles this in the end, like, I literally want to be like, trophy, trophy, trophy. Like, seriously. And I, like, could it be better? Always, like, all of us. But, like, she starts to realize, like, hold the motherfucking phone. You're trying to flip this around. Like, I was the cause of everything. And so the whole time, and this is the other, I also want to applaud her for just listening. She was so quiet. And this is the freeze, right? She's starting, as he begins to talk in his politician, you see the freeze really set, right? Because she's just like catatonic, listening to him like, okay.
She didn't say a thing. She
didn't say a thing. Just listens. Aaron goes, as much as I wish this would work, I'm at peace that it didn't, which is like, what? Like,
fuck off.
Oh, yeah, like, those are two conflicting statements, basically. Like, it just makes no sense. And so at the end of the day, you're a great friend. Like, just weird. Like, yeah, like, I have all these quotes in here. And then he's like, by the way, you look beautiful today. And I'm like, fuck off with that shit. No. So then she's silent. And she walks away, basically. And I go, damn, girl, get it. I feel the strength. Like, yes, pain, but strength. And then so quickly, she's like, she goes to talk to her girlfriends. She's packing up her shit. She's like, we broke up. Doesn't really have much to say about it. Isn't super emotional about it, because I think in that moment, something clicked in her head where she's like, I see all of this for what it is. And so here's the deal. Do I recommend confronting someone who's severely narcissistic and refuses to see their part in things? Usually no, because it's going to be a waste of your time, energy, and breath, because narcissistic folks are committed to never taking accountability or seeing their part because of their own shit. All right? Now, Genevieve decides she's going to sit him down, though, and is like, you can't just do that. And I was like, get it. Because here's the deal. If there's ever a time in which you're going to catch someone in this shit, it's while on reality TV, while everything's being recorded.
That's right.
Yeah. So she goes and sits him down and is like, you put everything on me. You made it seem like it was all on me. And he immediately goes, I tried to compliment you. Red flag right there. That has nothing to do with what I'm saying. Yeah, great. You called me beautiful. Thank you, by the way. I am beautiful. Cookie? Not the point here. Yeah, not the point here. So again, blame shifting. Like, I called you beautiful and you're going to tell me that I blamed everything on you. Two completely different topics. Okay.
Right. Right.
Aaron starts to say, like, you kept packing your bags and that's what happened. And then she keeps saying, like, why didn't you let me go then? And he's like, because I thought that things would change, which I'm like, ew. I have ew in all caps when he said that. I thought that things would change. I thought that you would change. And it's like,
yeah,
you aren't ever taking responsibility for your part here.
Never.
So
never, not once.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So they break up.
Go ahead.
They break up.
And
they don't talk again until they get to the reunion. When they come back, what did you think? Generally, I want your thoughts on this, but I'm just going to set it up. Generally, Aaron says, you know, I'm more aware of my responsibility in our cycle than I was, right? And he apologizes. He issues what seems like an apology that is a bit more specific of his role, which Genevieve took in as like, okay, what is it? And then I want your thoughts.
He said, I was prideful, I was foolish, ignorant, and at times an asshole. It was a failure for me. I could have been better in every way. I don't believe it. It was 100% PR is what I put.
I had an inkling listen, I had an inkling that it was supported by other people in a way of like, you're going to want to address this because
I think he has an agent.
We're all too aware of what happened.
Yeah, I think he has an agent who saw it and hired someone to give him some quick training on like PR, like literally a PR rep who's like, this is what you need to say to like cover your ass if you want to be in the public light and not be called a narcissist, which still calling him a narcissistic person. So anyway, here's why I think that. Apologies are like, as much as we all desire apologies, for the person giving the apology, it's very vulnerable and scary. to really like, oh, especially something to this level. Like, it's one thing to be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that I forgot you're allergic to strawberries and I put strawberry jam on your toast. Like, okay, my bad. Like, that's not good,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
when it comes to publicly gaslighting, project, like all of the things we've seen that are really unhealthy behaviors, and we have to own up to that. Look at how anxious Logan was just defending himself with Kate, right? Look at how uncomfortable Genevieve even was being like, you know, I'm sorry for my part in it. Like, she was uncomfortable. It was hard for her to make eye contact. She was sitting up really straight, kind of like guaranteed her butthole was clenched so hard, which I make that joke all the time, but it's a thing. Like, we sit like on edge, like, oh my God, you know? And because because what happens when we apologize, not only are we being vulnerable, but we're owning up to the things that we feel shame around too. Like, I feel shame that I did this to you. I feel shame that I contributed to this dynamic. Aaron had such a steady, scripted, I was prideful, I was foolish, I was this, I was that, I'm sorry. There was no emotional, like, you know, Jen,
too much
I
control.
watched this back. And it felt so just like I scripted this, I memorized this, I'm regurgitating it so that I can, you know, cross my T's, dot my I's, and be done with this. But there was
Gotta look
no
like a good guy.
Right. There was no like true vulnerability for Aaron being like, Genevieve, I watched this back and I was so blinded by how I was treating you. I'm so sorry that it came across that way. And like, you know, there's no making up for it now. All I can do is say I'm sorry. And, you know, I want you all to know that I'm working on those aspects of myself. Like, I would have taken that more as an apology because it wasn't, it just felt so like unemotional, you know, just not genuine. It didn't feel true at all.
It is amazing. I agree. No, I'm totally with you. Those differences are so subtle. That's why they're important to kind of pay attention to. But it is amazing to me that he is not being treated like some of the other BIP
oh my God,
post show.
100%. Because people don't know what they don't know. And people are, oh my God, I can't wait to get there. Can't wait to get to those two. Because really, like, the way that Aaron treated Genevieve, and we, again, saw this with Eliza, and Victoria was there. I don't think Victoria agreed when Eliza was like, this is how you know you're really falling for each other, like, you fight like this. But this kind of shit's been so normalized, and it is the most toxic thing to be involved in. So don't. If you see this in your relationship, put it down, unless you both are willing to go to therapy as individuals and as a couple. If you're both willing to do that, great. Go for it. But if not, peace out, Girl Scout.
My closing thoughts on Aaron and Genevieve is, while his apology was lacking depth and sincerity, it seemed that Genevieve actually took it in as a sincere apology. And for her healing, I'm glad that she gets to have that. Yeah. And that will only continue to be true for as long as they continue to not have any contact with one another.
Agreed.
She needs to go, never date Aaron ever again. And I'm going to use them as an example, but I want people to understand this, that if you've had a relationship with, or engaged in a toxic cycle with someone like Aaron, or a relationship that feels very similar to theirs, you do not want contact. You cannot be friends, nor should you be friends. I don't like to, this is not an overall belief that exes can't be friends. Exes can certainly be friends sometimes. Exes in toxic cycles should not be friends. Ever.
No.
Ever.
No. Because of the toxic cycle and how it starts, you know. I saw this reel the other night, but it's so true. It's like, it was the night before Thanksgiving, and it's like when your toxic ex reaches out over the holiday. It's so fucking true. It's a thing. It's a tactic that people use. It's a form of hoovering, literally, to see how far can I get away. Are you going to engage? Are you going to? And it's like, you need, and I said this to Bree the other day, I'm going to say it again, you're the gatekeeper of your own life, people. Like, seriously, guard yourself, protect your heart. You get to determine who has access to you. You know, so many of my clients are like, I'm scared that the narcissist will have control. It's like, if you are sitting in that fear, then you are giving them the control. They only have as much control over you as you allow. But breeze
Don't
right,
answer.
and that's
Don't answer.
Don't answer. And ignore the caller ID. That's the next thing I always get is like, yeah, I blocked them, but then they call me on no caller ID. Don't answer the no caller ID.
Not.
My narcissistic ex still called me on no caller ID 2 fucking years after we were done. Literally. It is a thing. They will email you too. They will download every app and try it. My narcissistic parent downloaded WhatsApp. She never has used WhatsApp in her fucking life, but downloaded it to send me a message last year. Like, come on. And they will try. Don't let them do it. You don't let them. Don't let them.
I've seen people make multiple numbers to
It's insane.
access.
Yeah. You have to be the strong one. And that's why I say the survivor of the relationship has all the strength, because the toxic person, narcissists don't let go of supply. They will keep their supplies as long as their supplies let them keep them, because it's again, it's a supply for their own,
it's an energy source,
fuel.
Yeah.
It's an energy source to feel whatever they're looking to feel. So cut them off.
Vultures.
Don't let them have it.
Vultures.
They are.
We have one relationship to talk about before we get into Danny and Michael,
cray-cray.
Serene and Brandon, and Johnny and Victoria finally. So we need to talk about Eliza and Rodney.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, so this is really only reunion focused, AFR focused.
Yeah.
But Eliza's at the show. Rodney is also at the show.
Justin's
at the
show.
Justin's not doing anything but like making faces,
observing. So true.
They only have him there to like make a meme of his. Like they didn't even ask him any questions. So
no.
Eliza is obviously not with Justin, and we saw how that played out when cameras followed Eliza to Baltimore see if Justin was like aware.
I love you too.
Interested. Yeah, no. And that wasn't the case. So Eliza's not with Justin, and she's at the show, and she's obviously not happy with how her story's been represented. And I think that she does her, from a human perspective, she does her best to sort of like reconcile a little bit of how it all went down, but like not.
Oh my God, yeah.
Honey girl, it's not enough. It's just not enough.
No, no.
And I think I still stand by the DTS theories that we've discussed here, which is to be at the whim of someone who is posturing themselves as this like romantic choice, Justin, right? The romantic choice that comes in and sees you and only you and knows gummy bears, knows your favorite candy, tells you that like the fireworks in the air. Like I really do believe that she was at I believe that she was really under the spell of all of those romantic gestures that made it difficult to see that she could have something real with Rodney. But at the end of the day, I'm really glad that Rodney's not with her, because Rodney needs to be with someone that like is emotionally mature enough to say, oh, I got a good thing going here. I'm not trying to fuck this up. I like this. Yeah. I like how this feels. I like what it's doing. I like who you are. I like who I am with you. Like we're good. Right. And I think even in the experience of Eliza showing up at the reunion, maybe just for television purposes, being open to the idea of Rodney again, saying, yes, I still have feelings for Rodney, I do think is still just a perfect example of like where her maturity level is at. And I think that she's just like, I messed up. And we're all like, yes, boo, we know. And Rodney deserves major applause for being like, listen, that was really hard for me. I have been trying to feel better, and I'm just now starting to feel better. And I am gonna have to respectfully decline. And I love that he did that. I thought that was such a beautiful, beautiful example of healing and choosing yourself that we don't often really get to see. We usually get to see like, oh my God, we finally get our happy ending, right? And instead it was like, honestly, girl, that was a lot. So I'm feeling better. I'm feeling more like myself. I think it's in my best interest to continue to be where I'm at and not focus on you right now.
Yeah, you Kudos. Go, Apple Boy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I have a question for you that's very related to this dynamic between the two of them.
Yeah.
And this is a very polarizing question. But I feel like I know what you're going to say. So,
okay.
This concept of like you know, taking someone back who needed to date someone else to know how great you were, like to know how valuable you were. It's like, oh, what is your opinion on that? Because some people are like Nick Lachey and his new wifey on Ultimatum, they talk about this. They're like, we were together, we broke up, we dated other people, realized that we really wanted each other and came back together because now we valued each other more. And now they're leading the show called The Ultimatum on the Netflix, which is like, okay. And then you have what Rodney did, where he was like, thank you, and I'm going to choose me. I'm going to stay in my lane because I like my lane. And, you know, we had a lane together at one point, but you decided to go into someone else's lane. And so, no. What do you feel?
Like the true Libra that I am, I see both sides to it, right?
Of course.
Because what I know logically, it's entirely possible. I can totally see the possibility of dating other people and then realizing, man, like I fucked up. Like I took for granted this person that I was with. I didn't fully appreciate them. Maybe I was in a different place that made it difficult for me to really see what I had the privilege of accessing at the time that I, again,
right.
really took for granted. And I think that sometimes that includes dating other people, can help realize that awareness. However, my gut in my own personal experiences my ego speaks up in these moments and goes, listen, babe, you either get it or you don't. And if you didn't get it before, I'm not really convinced you're going to get it fully now. And I'm way more comfortable sitting in the, I will gladly let you watch me go be great and out of your reach place instead of being like, okay, let me give you access again. So,
yeah.
But in the case of Rodney and Eliza, I think Rodney is, this is me making an assumption, so I could be wrong about this, but I think Rodney's in a place sort of similar to what we were talking about in the intro, which is through my experience with you, Eliza, while you entertained and got really distracted and swept up by the efforts of another person, I realized that what I am looking for in a relationship feels a lot more secure than what we were working with. That's what I think he's feeling. So I think for him, it's not like, oh, you realized what you gave up. I think it's more like, I'm learning that, like, I know that I deserve to be with someone that says, I have everything I need with you and what we can build together.
Yes. Yeah.
Mic drop.
Yeah. Agreed. I completely agree. And I think that that's kind of the lens in which we should always kind of look, because I do think that there are people who were to get, I literally just planned a wedding in October for a couple who their story, and they're so cool people. They were together and then they broke up and then like a year went by and they re-met kind of in a way at a mutual friend's wedding. And when they broke up, there wasn't any hostility. It just like wasn't the right time and like whatever else, you know. And then they got back together and now they're happily married and like totally in love and over the moon for each other 5 years after getting back together. And so it's just like, there's this myth that there's some people who really believe like right person, wrong time. There's other people that believe that that's not possible to meet the right person at the wrong time. You'll only meet the right person at the right time. And I feel that it should be less about what the sayings are, what the societal norm is, what, you know, and look at the facts of exactly what Bree just said. What do I want for my life? What do I want to build in my life? Is this person a match for that or not? Like, here moving forward, not what it was in the past, you know?
Yeah.
And I really
absolutely.
feel that that's the, I guess, lens or the mindset that we should have when we're considering going back to somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Listen, don't make it a hasty decision. Check in with yourself.
No.
You know, does this fit what I have been reaching for? And this happens to me too.
Or what I've been getting away from.
Or what I've been getting away from. Or am I inclined to take this opportunity because I'm nervous that I'm not going to find anything better?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's the truth.
I have heard myself say that to myself a lot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was wrong. I was wrong. Like there is like it has to be better than what I've already had. It just has to be.
Yeah. I've
I
noticed
refuse to believe that it's not.
Yeah, in the past, like when I was like relationship hopping, I remember thinking that like that was my biggest like fear of the breakup is like, oh my God, am I ever going to meet someone and I can tell you like every relationship after was better and better and better and better. And it'll continue to be better and better and better because with every relationship that I go through and break up from is a step closer to who I want to be and what I want in my life because of the work that I am plugged into. It's like both realities are true. There's a reality where it's like shitty relationships, loneliness, singleness, like that is a thing. But there very much is also a reality where it's like amazing friendships, amazing connections, amazing sex, amazing partnerships, amazing all of that. It's just the only common denominator between those two realities is you and the work you're doing on yourself. So it's like, choose wisely.
I think, you know who I think is a really good example of this? Brandon and Serene.
Okay, great. Let's jump over to their relationship.
Yeah, because I think that there's such a good example of this because Serene said in a number of times televised on these two episodes between their final date and their fantasy suite and the reunion, which led to their inevitable engagement. Spoiler alert. And if you haven't watched it yet, like what are we doing? Yeah. Oh my God. She goes, everything that I thought a relationship could be, this is more. This is so much more. And I loved so much of that because I relate to it and it actually quells a fear that I have personally. I'm going to be vulnerable for a moment when I say that like I have sometimes fear that I want too much, that the things that I'm looking for in a partnership are more than what is realistically accessible. Yeah. And that has changed over the years in that I have stopped expecting to meet perfect people, perfect matches, and instead imagine that I can make a beautiful connection and have a beautiful, soul-fulfilling connection with someone who's also not perfect, because I'm also not perfect. And that feels like, when I think about it that way, I'm like, oh, that's possible. And I see something like Brandon and Serene. Now, Brandon is a very specific kind of person. And I love that Serene gives him his flowers and says, listen, the kind of love and the relationship that we have and the safety and security that I feel is because of you. You make this possible because of how honest you are about how you feel about me and how I make you feel. I don't have to wonder what's going on in his head. He really is like, he's the beautiful heart of their relationship. And what he gets out of being this beautiful heart that is just beating out loud is a partner who's totally receptive to it and says, yeah, I accept this. And I'm going to give it to you because you inspire that in me, you know? And from there, they have this beautiful fucking connection that really says to me, like, if you want it, you can have it. You just have to not choose what you think you deserve and settle for that, like, way, way, way less because you're worried that it's never going to be out there. Girl, you got to hold out. You got to hold out a little.
Yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
I said a lot. What do you think?
I love that. I completely agree with all of it, you know? And I do want to say, like, yes, it's a lot, and because I hear what you're saying, and I completely agree, and it's very much what Serene said, and I want to give Serene her flowers of being, like, she also brings that out of Brandon, and Brandon loves her because of the person that she is. So it's like, you know, it takes two to tango, and those two are tangoing so well together, you know, rose in mouth and
such
everything.
Good tangoing. Such good tangoing.
Get it, guys.
I like, do you have other big highlights for what we got to see from them? I know that you want to talk about their engagement eventually, but anything before that?
No, not really. Like, they're pretty
Yeah,
solid. And so,
they're
yeah,
really
they get
solid.
engaged. Yeah.
I think
They
I
get
think
engaged.
I
They
think the
say a
thing that I
lot.
want to they
Yeah, go
do
ahead.
their engagement was beautiful. It felt so different than Victoria and Johnny's, and we'll obviously speak to why. But like their
Totally.
connection, I want to speak to what you had said earlier in the beginning of the show, which is about their foundation, and something that I noticed that felt like why does this foundation feel strong? Like I wanted to sort of
Hmm.
like know what I'm experiencing as a third party observer as to why this feels so different from some of the other relationships that have like come to fruition on the beach and then inevitably fell apart. And it's the trust and security that they have in one another. Like
Yeah.
you don't need to be someone like Brandon who is so good with his words and so expressive about how he feels. You just have to like one, not be afraid to try to communicate, whether it's verbally or non-verbally, that someone means something to you. You have to try to make an
Yes.
effort to show them and say, this is why I love you. This is how much I love you. This is the way in which I love and show appreciation for you, who you are. Like, I want to tell you that you look fucking divine when I see that you've put effort into getting ready. I want to show you that I care about how hard you work when I clean up in our shared living space sometimes. You know what I mean? These are the ways in which I show you that I love you. And Serene, or anyone else who might be on the opposite position of receiving that kind of love, it says, I love you in the way in which I feel so secure that I actually can just give you my whole self. Like no holds barred, no guard up. Like I am fully here, which allows the two of
Mm,
them to really like engage in the thing that could make them really special as a united front that moves forward
love
in
that.
life together and deals with stuff. You know, so
Yeah.
it's vulnerability, it's this is why I love you, this is how I love you, this is how I appreciate you, and it's security. It's knowing like we're both in it for this. Now you have to work to maintain that. This we are seeing a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful representation of the beginning of that beautiful
Yeah.
foundation and that connection. You have to work to maintain it. We talked about this a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not going to repeat myself. Like the work starts now, but it's building off of something that I hope that they can continue to remind themselves of why it's so special and works to begin with.
Yeah. 100%. Oh my God. I'm excited for them. So do you want to go into their proposal
Yes.
at all? Um,
No.
okay. So I'm gonna hopefully I do this in a way that you're okay with. But what I was gonna say is, so they propose, and then Jesse and obviously they accept, kissy kissy, yay yay yay, and then Jesse Palmer comes out and is like, I got ordained last night, want to get married, and they literally like cut the cameras there and fast forward. Now we're back at
Reunion.
I want to call it after the fine of Rose, but that's not it. The reunion,
Oh yeah,
and
it's like actually not AFR.
no, it's not.
Oh.
But their reunion,
Yeah.
and and what ends up happening is they express that they declined Jesse's offer to get married. They are still happily engaged, which I completely applaud them for. I
Yes.
wish I was on that beach to like hear the conversations, because like they allude to some. I think it was Brandon calling his family and them being like, if you
His
get married
mom.
without us there, all hell's gonna break loose.
I'll kill
Yeah.
you. I'll kill you. She said I'll kill you.
But I also feel that for the two of them, like they want their family there. They, you know what I mean? Like they're not that kind of couple. Whereas like I wouldn't, okay, now personally, like I wouldn't have done that like at the end of 6 weeks of getting, I wouldn't even be engaged to someone. I'd be like, we can date, we can leave here together and date. But
Yeah.
I am the kind of gal who would elope with my person after dating for a while without anyone there and be like, we just decided to get married last night. Like that is something that I would do
Yeah.
with the right person. Because
Yeah.
for me and like where I'm at with my life, I've already had a big wedding. I don't need another one.
Yeah. 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 You're like, all set.
Yeah, all set. Been there, done that. But there's also a part of me that's curious with the right person if I would want a party again. You know what I mean? So we'll see. But for them
can
and their
really change.
relationship, yeah,
It made
that's what I'm
sense.
trying to say. Yeah, for their relationship, it made sense, and I'm really happy that they didn't fall prey to the like ABC pressure of like, oh my God, but this is going to get so many views type thing.
Dude,
Fuck that.
I could not agree more. Like when they were like, because there's a world in which I could have seen them like get married because on the show because they were just so in love with each other and they were sort of like set to jet from the beginning. But the thing is like I was really hoping that wasn't going to be the case because it was going to feel so gross. Like really, like this is a made for TV experience, and you want people who fell in love genuinely with this kind of love, with this much like admiration and appreciation for each other's individual lives outside of this experience. Like you want them to get married on this show. Like from me, I get it from a television point of view, but I'm like, shame on you, ABC. Shame on you.
For real.
That's how I felt.
Yeah.
Like, because it's so tempting. It's so tempting
Yeah.
for people who are now public figures to some degree to take that bait when it's like, no, like we want, like, I can't do this without my family here. Like,
Yeah.
I want my parents to meet her. I want my parents to meet him. I want my sister to meet him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, gross.
Yeah. Gross.
For the right couple, maybe it would have made sense, but yeah.
Not them. Like Danny and Michael, I could see that low key making sense if they felt it was right for them in their relationship. You know what I mean?
I disagree.
Yeah, I'm not talking about getting married after, like right after Paradise. I'm talking about like eloping, right?
Like with James
in the future. Yeah, exactly. Because that's my point. Like it's not appropriate for their relationship right now because she does need to meet the kid. They do need to see how their lives,
totally
mesh and all of that. But I could see, like, let's say he wasn't a single dad and they hit it off and they were older. I could foresee a couple like that getting, like, doing something eloping wise. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that.
But yeah, it's like, so let's talk about Danny and Michael. So they're at the reunion. They're still together.
Uh-huh.
She is moving not in, but to the same city, which I thought was a great next step. No need to rush moving into with one another. Yeah.
Yep.
And then he drops the L-bomb on camera.
Yeah,
and it was,
which is so sweet.
What I appreciated the most out of that was her react. Like, you could tell, like, in that moment, she didn't give a fuck about the cameras. It was just the two of them on that little couch together.
I felt the same way. I had the same exact experience.
Yeah, I'm glad that she focused tunnel vision the second he did that on him instead of being like, oh my God, everyone he said he loves. Like, it was just them, you know?
Yeah.
Because I feel that Michael, like, the positive reinforcement and the connection and having that moment for just the two of them instead of it being this, like, public, you know, clickbaity thing. I think that he really needed that support and security, too.
Yeah. I mean, he did reserve his I love you, his first I love you for the national television moment. But but I see his intentionality in that and not a selfish, like, oh, this is going to be really good television.
Yeah.
I saw it as this is a way to offer a romantic gesture, like a big one for my partner.
Agreed.
And make her feel really special.
Yeah. And shout it from the rooftops because it's like we saw so many other couples share like L bombs that were not as far along as them two on the beach. Yeah. And so I think he wanted to give that to her in that way, but I applaud her in not soaking that up and instead being like, this is about us, you know? And I love that. I'm really happy for them. I love Danny. I think she's an ace. Like,
I also think she's an ace. I think that she's awesome. Actually, I want to talk about another moment of theirs that I loved.
Okay, great.
There are two moments that I loved the most about Danny and Michael's like relationship paradise wrap up. The second one was the I love yous. That for everything that you just said was just so fucking beautiful. I rewatched it a million times, not because I needed to understand it, but because I wanted to relive it a million times. But the first was actually when they had their like final day beach conversation, paradise conversation before they left together as like boyfriend and girlfriend. Can I tell you that the conversation that they ended up having made me big sob, like big cry, like major.
I believe
and for those of you who are still getting to know me, I am not an emotional reactor to television, really. Like I'm pretty silent. Sometimes I'll make a comment, but I'm very rarely crying. And something about this really hit my insides. And I took a minute to pause and like reflect on why. For context, what they were talking about was what they wanted, how they saw their relationships going forward. And Michael was very vulnerable and sort of like sharing, like, this has typically been really hard for him to like date new people. He's only ever said "I love you" to his late wife. He's been very guarded, and Danny was she held so much space for him, which we've already seen her do with finesse, but she also verbally reinforced. She's like, that, finding myself to be a part of your life, to be a part of James' life, having the privilege of being like introduced to him is not something that I take lightly or something that I am looking to rush in any sort of time frame. I know how important this is, and I know that it deserves to take an appropriate amount of time, and we won't know what that is until we know how it feels. I paraphrase that, but that's the sentiment. And I think that someone from the position of Michael, who's a single dad, who has a late wife and has had the dating challenges that he's had, needs to hear that, which is very different and still just as well-meaning as his experience with Sierra earlier in the show, which was she made this big gesture of, this is how much respect I have for you and your family, including your late wife, but it was too much too soon. And that's why it's different. But what really fucking hit me was when Michael was talking about how he knows that this is right because of his connection to his compass and pointing north, and like just basically trusting his intuition that like you'll know that you're in the right place when you're there. And he feels that way with Danny. And then telling her, my late wife, she would have loved you. She would love you.
I loved that part. Yeah.
It made me cry so much because it was just like the amount of like to be in that position. It just felt so special to have with such security, like so much certainty to say like this person that I know like the back of my hand, who I think about every single day, who is not here, that you have all of this respect for, that you do not feel threatened by, which is a very real thing. Huge, I know her so well. I already know that she would give us a blessing. And that's something that you don't know how important or powerful that is until you're in a position where you can actually feel that with certainty. And I don't even think that my own words could do that moment justice. I only know how it made me feel. And it turned on an absolute faucet, a full faucet. I love that. Full speed.
Good. That's
special.
So sweet. Yeah. Those two are super special. And I'm glad that ABC brought Danny on for Michael, because we all know that that's quite literally why that happened.
So interesting.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, because it's like who else did they meticulously bring on for other people? Or is it more just like we're going to draw names out of a hat type situation? You know what I mean? Or
it's a really good question.
They offer, I'm curious to know if the people they offer a VIP position to, if they say like, hey, here's my wish list of like the 5 people I would like to meet from Bachelor Nation. And then they kind of do it that way. Like, I don't know, but
can someone let us know how they do the castings?
Someone let us know.
Okay. This also made me think about how,
there's probably an NDA on that.
Probably. But you know how, people in conversation with Bachelor Nation will be like, what would you rather do? Would you rather be a bachelor? Would you rather be on The Bachelor and be one of many contestants? Right. Or would you rather be the Bachelorette, the one who's dating many? And my final answer is I want to be on The Bachelor to be, if I had to answer this question, to be one of many contestants so that I could go on BIP, because BIP is a much better experience.
Yeah, I think so. Because it's like, it's less like everyone vying. It's not this competition of like, I need the rose. It's like, I mean, there's a little bit of that, but it's more, who do I connect with? You know what I mean? you have more options, and it feels that there's more natural of an environment. Instead of it being like we're gonna country hop to all these crazy locations, it's like you're here, you're on a beach, you kind of get into a routine at some point, and then it's like who do you click with, or who do you not click with?
Yeah.
Okay, who's next? Do we want to talk about Tyler and Brittany? Do we want to talk about Jacob and Jill?
I'm glad. Jacob and Jill, I'm not really concerned about. It felt very like showy. I mean, I kind of loved Jill's little freak out moment. Like, what are you doing? Like,
yeah,
I loved when she like turned into like a gremlin version of herself. It felt very authentic, though. I did not feel that Jacob's like showy, like, you know what, Jill stands up. Do.
We had a connection.
Like, yeah, I don't really buy it. I'm sure that I bet that they were actually probably connected a little bit before the show.
I agree.
This aired, so it just felt like made for TV entertainment.
Yeah.
But we should. I had no idea what happened between Brittany and
Tyler.
Tyler, thank you. I forgot his name. I had no idea what that was.
Guy.
It seems like what happened is they met. Maybe they met someone's family. She went traveling. She called him up, had a different experience, and was like, listen, it's not working for me. It also sounds like he left out the fact that he was probably like constantly trying to be in contact with her. She may have asked for space. It was a very he said, she said, not very clear on what the truth was. Again, not really sure what was happening at all. It just, I didn't get it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think Brittany, I feel like a lot of people are fucking pissed at Brittany for no reason, or at least it felt like that night when I was watching it. Because I think Brittany was really articulate and honest. She's like, we were in this bubble of BIP. My feelings were like, and I get that. Like the feelings that you feel on a paradise beach with lots of alcohol, luxurious dates, all the food you want, you know, this environment, people making out, rose ceremonies, like it's understandable that the feelings might be heightened because you're like, yeah. And so they leave paradise. She says that they both agree, like they've met each other's families. They started down that road. And she's like, over time, my feelings just weren't the same. Like, I just wasn't interested. Like, I fell out of like with you. And I think they said love. They did say love. Do I think it was real, genuine love? No, because I think it would have gone the distance and lasted a little bit longer. I think it was stuck in their feelings because of the environment, and they left the environment, and she had a dose of reality. And Tyler is clearly anxiously attached and didn't want to let go of her and didn't want to respect the space that she needed, which further pushed her away. And now they were what they were. But you could tell Brittany, you know, I feel she's a pretty level-headed, grounded chick in the way I've watched her confront Pizza Pete and everyone else on this show. And she seemed pretty resigned. She was like, cut the shit. Like, it really felt like when she was talking to Tyler, she was like, you're leaving out the fact that you blew my phone up, like Brie said, like you were wanting constant contact and this and that, and I was over it. And I think that she just really was in a place of like, I'm not falling for this like woe is me bullshit anymore, because you're gonna keep sounding that alarm, and be a fucking adult. I told you I wasn't into it anymore. The end. Like, you know, that's like kind of the energy I felt.
That's as much sense that I could make of that as well, because it just we'll never know.
We'll never know. Okay, is it time to talk about Victoria and Johnny?
It's time. Victoria and Johnny. Okay, so leading up to the final date, I even have thoughts about where their relationship was before the reunion happened. Now, granted, maybe my experience of what their final days were like at Paradise is informed by the information that I could not escape about what then ended up happening at the reunion. But what I was feeling like was Johnny wasn't certain. He was clearly terrified of like actually proposing to Victoria. I think he had said it a couple times, which is, this feels like something that I'm supposed to do. And I really think that was his gut talking.
Yeah.
You agree?
Yeah, I feel like he felt pressured to propose because here's the thing. He felt pressured to propose because he wasn't owning that he wasn't ready for the proposal.
Yeah.
So it's partially on him. And he tried in their fantasy suite night to kind of like say like, I'm not going to change my mind just because you want me to. Like he kind of said that, which also I thought was the worst way to communicate that. There's been, you know, before we even start to fully unpack this, I just want to say I haven't been super happy with like the last couple weeks with how Johnny has like fully been with Victoria. There have been glimpses of like potential, but the majority of the time, like, he wouldn't even acknowledge Alex until he got Victoria's rose. To me, that's very immature. The way he's spoken to Victoria with some harshness around, like, you know, you don't want to just do what is love. Like, you just want to think more logically. You want to, like really, like, cutting her down for her process and choosing a partner. Like, there have been multiple times where I have been a little like, Johnny, what's going on with you? You know?
Yeah.
And he even admits it. Like it's hard for him because the second something happens, every relationship ends up this way, which by the way, bro, this is now becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's on you. Like that's on him and his trauma that this keeps happening. Go ahead.
I want to add to that because I totally agree with you. And I think that there's a lack of self-awareness of how might you be contributing to
yes. Such a lack of awareness.
This experience of people leaving and me not knowing why and me not feeling like enough. Because I don't know this to be true, but a theory that I came up with, which I want to make it very clear is a theory. A theory that I came up with is, I don't know if you've ever dated this type of person, but like dated a dude who is truly has zero intention of ever moving things along in a serious progression towards more commitment, more levels of like, we're a part of each other's lives. We're taking each other seriously. We're moving towards the future. And the future includes making plans, marriage. Sometimes it's a baby. Sometimes it's just owning a property together. But like, that's eventually all the stuff down the line, right? Conventionally speaking. Dudes that have no intention of moving the relationship, but are also incredibly satisfied with just hanging out and just continuing to hang out. So I imagined what it could be like dating Johnny before Johnny arrived on like the Bachelor scene, which was like probably like a dude that you know is not actually progressing the relationship. You get tired eventually and you're like, listen, dude, you clearly don't want what I want. So like, I'm out. And then Johnny's like, why does everyone keep leaving me? Because I had this thought. I was like, he's hot. He's got a really chilled, relaxed presentation. He seems to want a relationship. Then how are women leaving? And then I was like, oh, I've dated this dude. I've wised up to the fact that you aren't actually going to take any initiative here in this relationship. And I'm not satisfied with hanging out anymore.
Yeah. The other thread that I've seen that's common with Johnny, not only on this show, but after all the tea came out at the reunion, I started watching some of the podcasts that he's been on, and he is milking the fuck out of this whole thing. It's very victim mindset-y, like, yeah, you know, this just keeps happening to me. It's all like, it's everyone else. Like there is no self-responsibility. And even in I watched one with Ashley I and Ben's podcast where Ashley I that was on with Jared earlier in BIP. She has a podcast with Ben who also got married to, it is Ben, right? Yeah. Who got married, or it's a long story. He was a bachelor too. And then they're interviewing Johnny, and you can tell that even in Ashley I and Ben, like they're not like interested. They're just kind of like, yeah, okay, with what Johnny's saying, because it's so like, woe is me. And so here's my thing is I see him being like that in a relationship where it's like Eeyore, like this Eeyore energy, right? And I also don't think I don't see him being the type of guy who takes feedback well with like, look at how Victoria is like trying to check in with him throughout the process. And anytime she's like, well, I really want marriage and this is what I like, what are your goals? He shuts down. He's like, no, you're not going to go there with me. Right. Like he's very like avoidant. And so I wouldn't be surprised. And you know what ends up, I'm going to drop the effing see you next Tuesday thing, but I wouldn't be surprised if he said, can we say the see you next Tuesday word on our show?
Girl,
I guess so,
it's
because we
our
say the F word.
show.
Yeah, I feel like weird. But anyway, like, you know, Victoria ends up expressing, like, how long should it take me to get over you when the guy you're dating calls you a fucking cunt? And I can absolutely see Johnny in their relationship post-Bachelor getting frustrated, getting annoyed at Victoria speaking up for himself and being like, you're being a fucking cunt, and saying that to her. And and I'm sorry, but name calling is never okay in a relationship. Even if something as simple as, like, you're being a bitch, don't do that. What purpose does that bring to the relationship? What productivity does that bring? All it does is it's contemptuous, and it puts the other person needing to defend themselves and feeling really shitty because you just called them a not nice name. So it's like, if you wouldn't say it, this is something that I find challenging to adhere to in my own personal life, but definitely is a great motto to live by, you know, as much as you can. If you wouldn't say it on public television, don't say it in private. You know, it's like, if you're not going to call, you know, someone behind closed doors, which also rings true with Kate, if you're not going to say that to their face, then be careful of what you say behind someone's back, you know? Yeah. And so I see that when she said that, I'm like, I could see him doing that. I could totally see him doing that. So I'm not Johnny's biggest fan. Now, do I think that Greg and Victoria could have been a little bit more considerate and compassionate? Sure, of course. But I agree that this is 5 fucking months ago.
Yeah.
And it's
okay.
like,
I wanted to get your take
do?
because there's a couple things that are happening. Johnny's victim mindset, which is, this always happens to me, and she left me, and, like, can't believe she's in a full-blown relationship. It's like, I can believe she's in a full-blown relationship. She's a dime. One, she's a dime. Two, she's ready. She's ready to be in a relationship with someone who's serious about her and wants the same things. I mean, she was obviously working very hard about, like, when Victoria was finding herself to be close and intimate and vulnerable with Johnny, and Johnny was making those steps to do that against his own comfortability to do that with her. I saw Victoria experience lust and love, you know, like I saw her be like, I love this person. I saw apprehension and fear in Johnny. It's not that I don't think that Johnny loves Victoria. I think that he feared commitment to Victoria because I think that he's not ready for a serious relationship. And I think that he just needs to be way, 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 way more honest about that, because Victoria is a person that I'm sure he felt like was someone to lock down when he had the opportunity, because she is great and she's gorgeous. And, like, why wouldn't you want to try to make it work with someone like that? She likes you. She validates you. She makes you feel safe. That's a good person to have on your team, you know? And I think that had he been ready, maybe it would have been a different story, but, like, clearly something was going on after they got together. And I wonder if this was after they left the show. And I wonder if this was a bit more of a self-sabotaging type of behavior. Obviously their communication was off. They're not handling conflict responsibly with one another. And neither one of them are getting along. And I wonder if Johnny really kind of maybe leaned into that because he knew it was going to get him out of the inevitable commitment that he was so afraid of. That's how I feel about why that went out. But then, of course,
I agree.
Here's the polarizing thing. This is what people are reacting to. It's not just that she's with Greg, which people obviously have feelings about, because for some reason people have a very strong negative opinion about Greg following Katie's season, which I still don't fucking get, which was actually the inception of this podcast.
Our podcast.
It's
I thought this was a full circle moment for us. I was like, how great is this? We're going to defend Greg again.
Except for the first time we only did it via Instagram voice notes. We didn't do it on air, but I don't get the public's, like, disdain for him, one, but this is the polarizing thing. The amount of time, or rather Victoria allegedly being in contact with Greg while her and Johnny are fighting. And maybe they were on the outs. Victoria made it very clear that she didn't cheat on him physically. I believe her. But I do believe in emotional cheating. I do believe
Agreed.
like, and when I say I believe in it, I believe that it's a real thing. I believe, and I also understand that it's very human. It's a very human thing. When you're not in a good place with your partner and you have access to someone who makes you feel good, it is quite tempting and often a very slippery slope and very easy to access someone in your pocket computer, a phone, to help you feel good and safe and validated. And I think that like Greg and Victoria already had a rapport, and I imagine that there was some chatting before her and Johnny were like actually crossed over into Splitsville. So I just wanted your take on that.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, like we said before, we don't know all the details of the timeline, and we're not ever going to, because it's like, I would need to see
we don't
facts.
deserve it.
Like,
Yeah, we don't deserve it.
I would literally need to be like, when did you initiate contact with Greg? Because my understanding of it is they were friends before VIP happened. Like they were, I think there was discussion that, you know, I can't remember if he was going to go on the show, but they wanted to meet up or something like that. I didn't know if it was like, we'll meet on the beach or after or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, so they were friends prior to. She goes into the Paradise bubble. She meets Johnny, is kind of caught by surprise on how well she connects with Johnny. I think she truly wanted to commit to Johnny. I don't think she would have said yes to that proposal if she didn't want to. And so, look, if she was, you know, Victoria's defense is she told Johnny, I can't do this anymore. And that was the breakup for her, is like what she's, and that's what she says is after that, you know, before that we were just friends, and then it kind of turned into this thing, because as I was like healing from my breakup with Johnny, we end up hanging out and really clicking and blah, blah, blah. Right. So if that's the true timeline, then fine, so be it. If there is any, like, she was finding security or the strength to leave Johnny fully by latching on to Greg, yeah, not okay. You know, not okay. Because I'm with you. Like, cheating, no matter what form it is not okay. Like, it really fucks with a person's trust and feelings of themselves and so much. Like, it's really not okay. And unless it's ethical non-monogamy, totally different subject. But really what I think is the issue in this is that there's so much attention on whether or not Victoria cheated on him. A lot of people just are saying yes because they're like, look at them now, they have matching tattoos, blah blah blah. It's November, it's almost December, this shit was filmed in the summer, so although it just aired, this truly is like 5 months. She spent more time with Greg than she ever did in a relationship with Johnny. Can we please let it fucking go? And we're never gonna know if she really cheated on Johnny or not. If she did, is that something that she's probably ashamed of? I feel like she probably is, you know?
And I think like, I agree with you. We're never going to have the information on that. And like, like, they don't owe that. She doesn't owe that to us either.
No.
There's this big conception in like Bachelor Nation that just because you sign on to be a public person on these shows that like, it's like we deserve like your blood, your social security number, and like your full astrology, you know, birth chart.
It's chart.
Like, it's like fucking relax.
For real.
Even if there was some overlap of talking to Greg while working things out with Johnny, or rather honestly trying to like end the relationship with Johnny, because I don't think that she was trying to work anything out with him at that point. She doesn't deserve the kind of attention that she's been getting from people online, like true trolls online. For that, like the way that people have flooded her social media, and I don't even know how else they're trying to access her with such harmful,
for real,
disrespectful, toxic messages, calling her a slut in all different words, in all different ways of expressing it, is so disturbing.
For real.
And same for him. He's getting, but also they're flooding his DMs being like, I know that you were a bad judge of character, and then for you to be with this, insert callous derogatory names describing Victoria, she in all of these comments, she is always the person being attacked. It is
Yep.
misogyny on full blast. It
Yep.
is disturbing. And I want to use this podcast in this moment as an opportunity to just call attention to the fact of how fucking inappropriate that is to do to people online. I don't care if you think that they ask for this, quote unquote, because they are on television. You do not treat other people this way. It's fucked up.
It's so fucked up. It's so fucked up. Yeah, here are the things that I find interesting, because I really like, because you sent me the one spoiler via text, and I was like, ooh, but I ignored it all. I didn't look at their IGs or anything until I saw everything that I saw first, and then I went and lurked and tried to like educate myself on like what else was happening in their world. Now, here's what I think is interesting. Johnny himself states in this whole back and forth with Victoria, like, we went to therapy on it together. Interesting. Okay. Andrew, who is one of the most solid men in Bachelor Nation, like, we all love Andrew. Everyone loves Andrew. Everybody loves Andrew. The women love Andrew. The men love Andrew, just like everybody loves Rodney, right?
Yeah.
Andrew and Greg are like this, all right? Now, here's what I think is fascinating. I've never, in the history of Bachelor in Paradise, have ever heard a couple be like, we've gone to therapy over this. So one, I want to applaud them for doing that together. Two, if they were in that world, I highly doubt that Victoria is just going to go from like, let's go to therapy, being as emotionally mature and grounded as she has been throughout the VIP process, which, by the way, is way more challenging than your own private life, because everything, like we've seen, being recorded, you're in the public eye, blah, blah, blah. She did so well. She did so well. Right?
Yeah.
So now she goes into her private life. She's dealing with her relationship with Johnny. She's trying to figure it out. I'm very sure that she was the one that advocated for therapy, not Johnny. And then we're all going to turn the light completely solely on her and be like, you cheated on Greg, when we don't have the facts about that. We just have Johnny's accusation of that.
Yep.
And we're not ever hearing how Johnny's taking responsibility once for how he contributed to the relationship. So then we have Greg being besties with someone who we've seen to be very emotionally intelligent and grounded and a good human on these shows, which can be very uncomfortable and bring out the worst version of you, yet Andrew's always been an ace. So if I'm going to look at birds of a feather flock together, and who am I going to put my dice on or my money on, if I'm going to make a gamble or a bet on like who's the more emotionally healthy, mature people in this story, it's going to be Greg, Victoria, and Andrew over Johnny and Tyler. Because look at how Tyler went out there with Johnny. Yeah. That's who she is, bro. This is it. She's going to be like that. And you could have said everything else because you have respect. Okay, these are two anxiously attached. Well, I think Tyler's anxiously attached. I feel like Johnny might be low-key disorganized, because it's kind of hard for me to pin him, because sometimes he's avoidant, sometimes he's more anxious. So I'm kind of wondering.
He's avoidant to me, but I'm with you. I get what you're saying.
So you have these two just like ramping each other up, just like back there, like going at it, and it's like, who am I going to hang out with? The one who they're in their little bubble, they're confirmation bias, they're really gossiping about this other person, or these other people who are quite literally just like, I'm in a new relationship now and I'm moving on with my life, and I'm sorry that that's hurt you, but it's been 5 months. Yeah. And you called me a fucking cunt, and I'm sorry. In a relationship, I'm never going to tolerate someone talking to me like that.
Yeah, I think, and I agree with you, like, could Victoria and Greg have been like a little bit more careful with their behavior? Yes. And I think that their display was sort of a reflection of where they're at in their relationship, where they're very, very, very connected. They're very happy, and they don't give a fuck. All that I got from that, and it was definitely like the charge was led by Victoria. Like, I don't think Greg was going to do or say anything.
Yeah, Greg was like, okay, we don't give a fuck, right? Like, I kind of laughed when he said that, because he was like, okay, babe, like, are we going there? Like,
yeah, like, I guess we're doing this. Because it's probably in response to how she was treated by Johnny. She's like, you're going to treat me this way? Like, I don't really care about hurting your feelings by me being in a new relationship. You know what I mean? Like, I think I did think what was interesting, this didn't get any attention, but there was a camera flash to Danny and Michael when Johnny came on set at the reunion, which was Danny and Michael got up, and like Danny is like overwhelmingly trying to applause for Johnny when he came on, because I think it was sort of a gesture of, we support you in what's happened. Right. We don't think that this is fair. So there's clearly people from the BIP cast that have taken sides, and I would bet that there's probably more people, just seeing how people are responding to the situation. There's more people from that cast that got to experience Johnny and Victoria while they were together that have actually taken more of Johnny's side than Victoria's. And I thought that was interesting. And I was sort of like, not that I want this to totally reflect how I feel about Danny, but I kind of was like a little let down. I'm like, Danny, come on, girl. Like
I think Danny has a heart for men who are wounded. Like, look at how she responds to Michael. Look at how she responded to Johnny throughout the whole time. Like, she even said at one point when Victoria was considering Alex, she's like, Johnny's a great guy. Like, don't fuck around with that, right? Like, if I had Johnny, I would stay with Johnny. She's always been team Johnny. But I think that's because she hasn't been in a relationship with Johnny. You know what I mean? Like, it's really easy to support people on the outside. Like, when you see them on the outside of their relationship, when you see them mourning because they feel like they've been cheated on or they were cheated, like, it's really easy to be on your friend's side, but you don't see how they are behind closed doors 99% of the time. You know, maybe sometimes you do if you're that close with them. But the reality is that, you know, Johnny isn't a bad person, and I don't want it to sound like that. I think Johnny has trauma that lends itself to a lot of self-sabotaging patterns in the way that he interacts, and I see that even more, again, since watching him on these podcasts that he's been on since the reunion aired. It's like plain as day to me that he's really milking this, like, woe is me energy, instead of being like, yeah, you know, what's done is done, and like, do I feel like that was fair? No, but here's what I'm doing now because of it. It's not that. It's like, let's talk about it more. Let's talk about the pain more. Let's talk about how I was wronged more, without any, like, you know, my part in this was this, without, you know, it's just, it feels, my issue, and I don't judge Danny for supporting him. I knew she would. But my issue is don't judge Victoria, because how much of her story have you heard? How much of her story have you been open to actually hearing, even if that means you're accepting things about Johnny that you don't like, right? Cheating is never justified. And I'll own that. If it does come out that Victoria 100% cheated, I would be like, girl, you could have done better. You could have done better.
Yeah. Wow.
But am I going to sit here and be like, you know, both of them are awful human beings because he called her a fucking cunt and she cheated? No, they're humans, right?
Totally.
What matters is how they're moving forward from that instance of where he called her a fucking cunt. Is he working on himself? Is he working on the behaviors that led him to calling her that? Is he working on his own victim mindset? Is she owning up to the fact within her personal life and with the people who actually matter? Because again, she doesn't owe America an apology if that is what happened. But is she going to be able to own that if that is what happened with Johnny and with Greg and with other people in their lives? You know what I mean? Where it would impact them.
Wait, on topic, but also off topic question. Johnny lives in the Palm Beach Gardens, Jupiter area, which is where I live.
Oh, shit. Are you going to go hit him up?
Not intentionally. How long do you think it'll take before I run into him out in these streets?
How long have you been there? A year.
A year.
I'm going to say 6 more months.
6 months. Okay. You heard it here first. It's going to take 6 months.
Have you seen him on Bumble?
No. But I did wonder if I was on Raya, which I have not tried to be on, but also don't know if I would have access to, if they would let me in. But I wonder if he's on Raya.
Why? What's Raya?
Oh, girl.
It's a new dating app?
It's not new. Raya is like exclusive dating app. So it's you have to apply to be on Raya. And
that's cool.
It's reserved for like, okay, I might be butchering this because I could get it wrong because I haven't explored it, but my perception is like it's for people who have a bit of a different income bracket and reserved for more like public figures.
Oh,
so
okay, cool.
Celebrities are on Raya if they're on a dating app. Bachelor Nation people are on Raya if they're on a dating app. because it's like a little bit like they're trying to access a different pool of dating. And I'm
I
trying to
get
be,
that.
I'm trying to be gentle when I say that, because I think that it's pretty classist, right? It's very classist. It's very like, this is for the wealthy and functional, you know?
Only.
Yeah, exactly. Which is kind of fucked up when you really like break it down. But anyway, that's essentially what it is. So I bet he's there.
Well, are you going to get on it and see?
I don't
Do
think
some
I can.
reconnaissance for
I don't
us?
think I can after this conversation. I don't
Look,
think I want to. Sorry, Johnny, but like I don't think I want to.
yeah, anyone, I feel for anyone who goes on reality TV and just gets ripped to shreds, period.
Totally.
Because, I feel for them. It's like, by the way, like, I think it's ridiculous that people are going after Victoria F and Greg over this. I almost called him Greg Grillo, which is not his name, Greg Grippo. And I feel for them because, one, they're getting so much flack. I also want to say how many people who have reached out and called them awful things. What have you done in your life that's so perfect? Like, have you never cheated? Have you never emotionally cheated? Have you never texted someone something that you shouldn't have? Have you never sent a naughty pic that you shouldn't have?
Have you never
gotten
gotten a matching tattoo with an excited new partner of yours? Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. I felt like at that point they were low-key being self-deprecating because they're like, look at how like silly and in love we've been. You know what I mean?
They know it's stupid. They know it's
They
stupid.
know. Like, and so it's one of the, I honestly, like, I feel that what I saw with Victoria on VIP and what I saw with Greg and the fallout with Katie, I feel like they both they have very similar communication styles. I think it would work out really well for them. So I wish them all the best. Victoria and Greg.
They have similar goals. They have they want the same things. Like, they both want to have a family and they want to do it kind of soon. Like, that's why they're going to be a better match.
And when Victoria was like, I really feel that you're trying to push this narrative, it's because of that. Johnny doesn't want to admit, like, I wasn't good enough for Victoria. I wasn't, we didn't have the same aligned goals and things like that as she has with Greg. And so instead of feeling shame or rejection or any of those, he's really trying to paint this picture that, like, she's a cheater, because it's easier for him to deal with the pain of being cheated on than dealing with the pain of how did I contribute to this fallout. You know what I mean? And so when she said that, I was like, I believe that. I really believe that. I don't know. I feel like if she was the cheating type, she would have handled BIP and that whole situation with Alex much differently.
I totally agree. I think that that's like enough evidence.
Yeah. So, like, in my personal opinion, with the little amount of facts that I have, I'm going to say that she didn't really cheat, and it was more just shitty timing of, like, how it all came into place and, like, how closely probably it came into place after her relationship with what's-his-face, Johnny. But at the end of the day, it doesn't impact me, so I don't really care that much. Is that shitty of me to say?
No, I think it's actually admirable, and I wish that more of us on the internet considered that to be true. Doesn't impact you. Like, what does publicly slandering another person do for you online?
I know.
Like,
bro.
It's true.
I've been publicly slandered. It feels really shitty. And the email trolls they're the worst. When someone writes I've had emails written to me calling me a cunt and telling me that I've destroyed people's families with my 1-minute TikToks. Let me tell you, if that's happening, it was way destroyed before the 1-minute TikTok they saw. Yeah,
that's right. And that's on.
Don't do it.
Okay, do we give a red flag, green flag for our final Paradise experience?
My red flag is Kate trying... Actually, no. Well, I want to give a red flag to Kate and Aaron. One to Kate for trying to position everything as, a projection of Logan. And Aaron for trying to project everything onto Genevieve. You projectors.
Yeah. Yes.
You?
My red flag...
Give out all the red flags.
I'm also going to give out 2 red flags. I'm going to give out one red flag to Eliza because while I think that she's a good person, and I think that I feel bad for her for having to endure a public reaction to her choices. That's sucked.
Yeah.
That's not why she's getting a red flag. She's getting a red
and
flag.
And being turned down twice.
Yeah, it sucks.
Sorry.
She's going to be fine. Eliza's literally going to be fine, so I'm not
believe.
that worried about her. But I'm giving Eliza a red flag through the lens of like what it would feel like to date her. I would want to date someone that is a little bit more mature and knows a little bit more about what they want. And I'm using that as like a literal, like, you want to be looking for those red flags. If you know what you want and you're not just here to kick it and have fun, and you are serious and you are looking to date someone who like wants to move forward with life in the same direction that you want to, you don't want to date someone who doesn't know what they want, or who's like easily swayed, or like is still stuck in their people pleasing patterns with no effort to make some of those changes. Like, you want to look out for some of those things to reserve your time and your energy and your youth for someone who is like ready to go. That's why I would also give my second red flag to someone who I think is really suffering from the same thing, which is Johnny, for different reasons. But like the reason why, even though we're playfully being like, okay, like, are you going to hit up Johnny? You live in the same area. Like, we're going to see each other. I playfully say no, but I also seriously say no, because Johnny is very clearly someone who is not looking to be committed. And if I'm a person who is going to ignore everything that I know about myself, about what I want, who have been working really hard to like hone in on that clarity of like, no, this is what you're working towards, and you want these things, and therefore you're getting at a place you can't really dick around anymore. We're in our 30s, bitch. Time to get real, right? And to throw that away just to date someone who is like Johnny would be going backwards for me and learning lessons that I've already learned. So I give him a red flag, because if you're ready for something else, you don't want to date that guy. If he would be a green flag if you are not trying to head anywhere fast. Yeah. You're just trying to kick it.
Yep. Yeah.
Green flags.
Green flag. I'll give my green flag to Genevieve for fucking standing up for herself and owning, like, not letting Aaron get away with that. And I also want to give her a green flag for taking ownership of her tiny little part in their dynamic too, publicly. Because I know how hard that is, and I also know how, being the survivor of a relationship that is narcissistic, it's like, it can feel, when you take a second to swallow the horse pill of how did I contribute to this dynamic, it can feel really triggering to do that, because you're like, this isn't my fault at all. But the reality is that when we continue to choose to participate in that dynamic, we're choosing to subject ourselves to that treatment over and over again. And it causes our own toxic, shitty behaviors to come out too, because of the self-protection mechanisms that want to flare up in those situations. So I give her a green flag for owning her shit. I also give her a green flag for speaking up for herself, because that is terrifying to do and can be really scary to do, especially with someone as jacked and yoked as frickin' Aaron. So great job.
Yeah. Snaps. My green flag's going to go to Rodney for respectfully declining Eliza's public announcement of her having feelings for him, and choosing his own path towards whatever it is that he's looking for.
Yay, Rodney.
Yay.
Apple boy.
We love it.
All right, y'all. We hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. Next we're covering Love is Blind Season 3.
We're gonna do it.
So
we're gonna cover it roughly about. We could make changes to this, but roughly it's gonna be about 2 episodes that we're gonna cover at a time.
A week.
So we're gonna start with the first 2 next week, and then so on and so forth. So you may already have thoughts about Love is Blind, but if you are curious about our thoughts, you're gonna want to listen.
Word. Let's see. If you liked us, go ahead and leave us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you're not following us yet on the gram or TikTok, @DitchTheScriptPod is our handle. And snap a screenshot while you listen. Share it to the gram on your story. Tag us, and we'd be happy to share it. And if you got any questions that you want us to answer for you, head to our website, ditchthescriptpod.com, and we'll answer those. And if you want a free mini session with us, ditchthescriptpod.com/podcast is where it's at. All right. Anything else?
Nope. I'm grateful for you and I love you, and see you on the other side.
Grateful for you and love you, and I'll see you on the other side. Whatever the fuck that means. We're not dying today, bitch.
No. But maybe on the other side of an internet-facing experience.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Wouldn't that be
That's
great?
gonna happen.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye, friends.
Bye.